Deputies say Patricia Marshall was turned in by her own brother.
Deputies say their mother is 87 years old and suffers from dementia. They say the money was taken from the elderly woman's trust. Channel 4's Alicia Booth has been looking into this case and joins us now live from the Council on Aging in St. Augustine. Alicia, I understand this crime is drawing a lot of attention to a big problem in the senior community.
It sure is, Mary. You know, this is an especially heinous accusation. According to this police report, that 87-year-old had no idea what was happening to her. She was completely helpless. And that's why places like this, the Council on Aging, are so important to people as they age for many reasons.
Everybody start arguing in 10 seconds. Oh, yeah.
This Council on Aging group meets regularly to talk philosophy. But today, we turn the discussion to a type of crime that's become a real threat to their generation. We told them about the St. Johns County woman charged with stealing thousands of dollars from her 87-year-old mother. The group was saddened, but not surprised.
This is conning of older people, whether they're close friends or family or strangers, is almost extra mean when you think about it. It's really something that's disgraceful.
Deputies say this woman, 58-year-old Patricia Marshall, spent years siphoning more than $100,000 from a trust fund that was meant to be used to care for her mother, who suffers from dementia. They say Marshall opened an account at Prosperity Bank, which is now known as Ameris.
And began to, over time, over a course of from 2004 to 2013, began to funneling some of that money away from those accounts to her own accounts.
Commander Mulligan tells us it was actually Marshall's brother who turned her in.
If it weren't for the sibling, certainly no one would have known about this fraud.
I think it's a tragic situation. You never know what's going on inside a family and what drives people to behave this way. But it is a real shame.
The executive director of the St. Johns County Council on Aging says aging seniors tend to be a trusting group and can be especially vulnerable to fraud of all kinds. And that's why it's important for all of us to consider our parents' future and our own future.
I think it's very important to think of these things ahead of time and to realize that at some point you may need to be relying on a caregiver.
Now, two of the people we spoke with here today said that they had to intervene on a friend's behalf because they were being defrauded. So they say having a good support network is key. We also want to mention that the Council on Aging has free seminars on how to avoid being a victim. They can also offer free legal aid. Another thing to keep in mind is if you're designating a family member to oversee your finances, you might consider choosing more than one person to do that. We're live in St. Augustine. Alicia Booth, Channel 4, the local station.
Alicia, what kind of punishment does Marshall face if she's convicted of stealing from her mother?
Well, Commander Mulligan says about 15 to 30 years, but the judge has a lot of latitude there. We should mention that we did reach out to Patricia. She is out on bond right now. We also reached out to her brother, and neither of them called us back.
Alicia Booth reporting to us live from St. Johns County.